There's an episode of SpongeBob that contains, in 11 minutes, the ugly barnacle. I'm ugly and I'm proud. The fish and my leg.
My leg! Oh my god!
4 load-bearing pillars of internet culture. 1 11-minute cartoon. That's a memes per minute ratio that modern content scientists still can't replicate. And after rewatching it as an adult, I need to report a crime. Because this episode is not about bad breath. This episode is about a guy with a completely fixable problem. His breath stinks. Brush your teeth. Done. But whose best friend convinces him through sheer confident ignorance that he is fundamentally, irreversibly, gaze-avertingly ugly. And SpongeBob believes him. Instantly. Completely. He restructures his entire identity around it. But no one takes the time to just tell him, "Hey SpongeBob, your mouth smells like a Burger King bathroom that someone dumped a Whopper in." No, instead the entire town convinces him that he is grotesquely ugly. And Patrick, SpongeBob's alleged best friend, takes one look at this rapidly escalating crisis and diagnoses him with ugliness. Patrick has no medical training. Patrick has no evidence. Patrick does not even have a nose. This is like getting LASIK advice from Stevie Wonder. And today we are going scene by scene through the classic episode of Something Smells to determine 3 things: how SpongeBob's breakfast became a public health emergency, why every citizen in Bikini Bottom failed him, and whether Patrick Star is a loyal friend, or an unlicensed emotional terrorist who should be banned from giving advice within 500 feet of a vulnerable person. The SpongeBob episode Something Smells aired on October 20th, 2000, in its 2nd season. Peak SpongeBob, when every single segment was somehow an all-timer. This episode is almost 26 years old. That's old enough to complain about how bad the new episodes of SpongeBob are. What everyone remembers is the quotes. This might be, pound for pound, the most quotable segment the show ever made. You don't just remember this episode, you inhaled it, and pieces of it come back out of your mouth at parties to this day. Now before we continue, a quick story. It's called The Ugly Channel. Once there was an ugly channel. It was so good that everyone subscribed. The end. Look, Patrick told a worse story, and it's in the Smithsonian of Internet Culture, so I feel fine about this. Like the video, subscribe, and I promise you're not ugly. You probably just ate a ketchup onion peanut plant sundae. It happens. But back to the episode. It's Sunday morning. SpongeBob decides he wants a sundae for breakfast. Perfectly reasonable. A Sunday on a Sunday. That is the type of wordplay that gets a man out of bed before noon. But then he discovers he has no ice cream. At this point, a normal person would make cereal or toast or eggs, a spoonful of peanut butter eaten over the sink while staring at nothing. But SpongeBob looks at the empty freezer and decides that the true essence of a sundae is not ice cream. It's apparently wet ingredients in a bowl. He begins with ketchup. Not a drizzle, not a garnish. He fills the bowl with enough ketchup to make Heinz send a cease and desist. Then he opens up the cabinet, sees the banana and cherries, the 2 ingredients that could almost salvage this, and calls them boring. SpongeBob rejects the fruit and chooses raw onions instead. This is not breakfast. This is what happens when a chopped contestant receives a mystery basket assembled by Jigsaw. Gary begins playing a sad violin, while SpongeBob slices onions. Because Gary knows that SpongeBob realizes they are out of peanuts. Gary burps, which should have been the end of it. Your pet has eaten your peanuts. The peanuts are gone, except God's mercy. But SpongeBob remembers that he has a peanut plant growing on the bathroom windowsill. The plant is brown, wilted, possibly deceased, located in the bathroom. And what I can only imagine is covered in poo particles.
Poo particles.
Every word in that sentence should have stopped him. Instead, SpongeBob takes the entire plant, soil, roots, potting debris, unresolved bathroom particles, and throws it into the ketchup onion mixture. He says, "A little texture never hurt." Correct. Texture has never hurt anyone. Botulism has. SpongeBob eats this mixture enthusiastically while Gary hides behind the furniture. After eating it, SpongeBob's breath immediately becomes visibly toxic. SpongeBob walks out of the kitchen and announces that he is feeling easy like Sunday morning. His spoken breath physically wraps around Gary's face. We are less than 2 minutes into the episode and language itself has become contaminated. Now SpongeBob checks his Sunday to-do list. His normal list just says go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work repeatedly. which is adorable when you're 9, and deeply unsettling once you're old enough to have a direct deposit. His Sunday goal is to greet everyone in Bikini Bottom. He approaches the first citizen and says, "Hello." The fish runs. SpongeBob assumes he's late. He greets the mailman. The mailman smells his breath and physically shreds multiple layers of his body until he becomes a smaller fish. Odor casualty counter 1. That man was delivering Bed Bath & Beyond coupons 15 seconds ago. Now he is molted like a haunted Russian nesting doll. SpongeBob then sees a crossing guard helping children. He says hello. The crossing guard gets one whiff, yells, "Mother of Mercy," and immediately abandons the children in oncoming traffic. This woman's entire job is crossing safety, and the second her work environment becomes mildly unpleasant, she leaves a group of minors in the road. Bikini Bottom's municipal hiring process is apparently just asking, "Do you own a whistle?" A parade arrives, and SpongeBob decides to individually greet nearly every musician. This is where his breath forms into a concentrated green sphere and rolls through the marching band like the boulder from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Except the boulder smells like an onion ring found beneath a movie theater seat. And from the wreckage rises the most unexpectedly immortal 2 seconds in the episode, a fish on the ground yelling, "My leg!"
My leg! Oh my God!
This is, canonically, the meme's origin era, the running gag that would outlive us all, born here in a pile of trombones. Not one musician says, "Sir, your mouth is committing manslaughter." They just flee. This town has the conflict resolution skills of a Real Housewives reunion where everyone's microphone has been replaced with a weapon. Enter Dr. Patrick Star. SpongeBob finds Patrick disguised as a giant wad of bubblegum on a bench. I have several questions, but none of them are more urgent than the smell crisis. SpongeBob explains that everyone is running from him. To prove it, he greets a building. The building moves away. Not the people inside. The building itself. Architecture has evolved enough to develop survival instincts before SpongeBob has developed self-awareness. Patrick cannot smell the breath because he has no nose. SpongeBob asks why people are avoiding him. Patrick considers the way SpongeBob is dressed. Honestly, SpongeBob is dressed better than half the men who attended the 2003 Teen Choice Awards in a fedora and an untucked striped shirt. They rule out clothing. Patrick considers SpongeBob's voice. SpongeBob laughs for an uncomfortably long time.
Good one, Patrick.
Patrick arrives with total serenity at, "Well, maybe it's just because you're ugly." SpongeBob is horrified. Patrick produces a mirror for a reflection test, which is not a test recognized by any medical board except possibly the one that certified Dr. Phil's mustache. SpongeBob says hello to his reflection. His breath reaches the mirror. The reflection becomes so disgusted that it grabs a hammer and destroys itself. Patrick declares he is ugly.
Oh, no!
Patrick's reaction is not science. It is the same energy as your friend seeing one symptom on WebMD and telling you to get your affairs in order. SpongeBob panics and begins asking random citizens whether he is ugly. He runs toward a couple. The couple smells him and bites onto a fishing hook to escape. Imagine deciding that being dragged violently toward the surface by an unknown fisherman rather than smelling someone's breath. That is how bad the smell is. SpongeBob then attaches himself to a moving car and asks the driver. The breath reaches the driver's eyes.
My eyes! My eyes!
The car spins. SpongeBob is thrown. The vehicle explodes. A police officer arrives, sees the smoking skeleton of a car, and gives it a ticket. Odor casualty counter, somewhere between 15 and insurance fraud. That night, Patrick visits SpongeBob to borrow bath beads, which means Patrick canonically takes baths with bath beads. I do not know what to do with this information. SpongeBob's house is dark. Lightning flashes. He is playing dramatic organ music while dressed like a combination of the Phantom of the Opera and a Groucho Marx disguise purchased from the clearance bin at Party City. He has been ugly for approximately one afternoon and has already renovated his home into a gothic lair. That is commitment. SpongeBob tells Patrick to leave. because nobody could want a friend as ugly as him. Patrick tries to reassure him by explaining that
it makes them feel better about the way they look.
That is not support. That is a hate crime with a positive tone. Then, Patrick sits his broken friend down for a healing story. It's called The Ugly Barnacle. SpongeBob listens attentively, hands folded, ready for salvation.
Once there was an ugly barnacle. He was so ugly that everyone died. The end.
Meme Registry, Entry 2, and it's a monument. This is the greatest short story ever written, and I will not be taking questions. It has a protagonist, a conflict, and the moral is that ugliness causes mass death. It is also one of the funniest jokes ever written for the show because Bill Fagerbakke delivers it with the serene pride of a preschooler who just finished his first screenplay. SpongeBob's review.
That didn't help at all.
How long have I been ugly, Patrick? Patrick answers, gently, lovingly.
As long as I can remember. You poor, ugly thing, you.
He's comforting him with the knife in, and then, to stop SpongeBob's panic spiral, Patrick just slaps him repeatedly, twists his whole head around. This is Patrick's complete therapeutic toolkit. Patrick drags SpongeBob onto the roof and orders him to accept his ugliness. He says SpongeBob must get something off his chest. The episode reveals a living creature, literally attached to SpongeBob's chest. He removes it. No explanation. No follow-up. Another organism has been feeding on SpongeBob this entire time, and it does not even make the top 5 health concerns of the day. Patrick encourages SpongeBob to declare that he is ugly and proud. Patrick's next move accidentally works.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Good! Say it louder.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder.
I'm
And makes him
ugly and
scream
I'm
it.
proud.
I'm ugly and I'm proud!
I'm ugly
Louder,
and I'm
louder.
proud.
And with the sunrise behind him and his little fists clenched, SpongeBob feels empowered. Real empowerment, genuine, built on a completely false premise. Meanwhile, one pan over, Squidward is sunbathing on his roof and mutters,
Is that what he calls it?
the movie theater massacre. Patrick decides they should test this newly rebuilt confidence in the worst possible environment. A packed movie theater. A dark, crowded, poorly ventilated room with SpongeBob's mouth. This is no longer emotional support. This is domestic terrorism with a matinee discount. The Reef Cinema Massacre. SpongeBob and Patrick enter the Reef Cinema. SpongeBob proudly identifies himself as an ugly sponge coming through. Two fish smell his breath and immediately go belly up. Patrick says people respect self-esteem. No, Patrick, those people have died. Self-esteem did not move them. Buoyancy did. SpongeBob sits beside a woman and politely apologizes in advance for his ugliness. The breath burns her entire face off. Permanent disfiguration. And then he leans over to one particular fish, a fish who is about to achieve immortality, and says,
Excuse me, sir. I hope my horrible ugliness won't be a distraction to you.
Not at all, boy!
The man smells the breath, produces one of the most violent gagging noises ever broadcast to children, and runs. Meme Registry, Entry 3, and it's the crown jewel. That face, the sudden, hyper-detailed, fully rendered face of pure disgust, is one of the most screenshotted frames in animation history, and the internet has been grateful for 26 years. And when SpongeBob breaks down, and folks, the deflated face shot where he says,
I'm not always as confident as I look.
Patrick stands up and delivers his masterpiece of advocacy. He grabs his weeping friend, holds him up like Exhibit A, and screams at the entire theater.
What is wrong with you people? Afraid to look ugliness in the face? Well, here! Look at it! You look at it!
And then he chases the audience with SpongeBob, pointing him at civilians like a biohazard flamethrower. You look at it! Look at it! Meanwhile, SpongeBob, held aloft, whispers hello and hi at the fleeing masses. The theater empties. Meme Registry, Entry 4, look at it. This is Patrick's defining quality. Infinite loyalty, zero accuracy. He would die for SpongeBob. He just can't be trusted to describe him. The reveal. The turn comes with perfect dumb elegance. With the theater empty, Patrick decides there should be no line at the snack bar. That is technically true. SpongeBob offers Patrick leftover sundae straight from his pocket. He's been carrying loose sundae in his pocket this entire time. The smell burns off Patrick's eyebrows before he eats it. Patrick watches his own facial hair disappear and still decides the food looks delicious. This is not hunger. This is natural selection submitting paperwork. Patrick swallows it. His stomach makes the sound of a 1994 Ford Escort failing to start, and he runs to the restroom. Patrick tries to borrow soap, and a stranger throws money at him and runs. Fish flee his bathroom joke. Patrick checks the mirror and screams the diagnosis of the century. Oh, I caught the ugly! The belief system is airtight, folks. Evidence cannot dent it. Ugliness is now contagious. SpongeBob finds Patrick hiding in a stall with a bag over his head. Patrick accuses SpongeBob.
You gave me the ugly!
He then explains that being ugly may be acceptable for SpongeBob, but Patrick used to be one of the beautiful people.
That may be fine for you, but I was one of the beautiful people.
Patrick spirals about what his mother will say. Then he worries about his sister finding out. Then he remembers that he does not have a sister. But SpongeBob finally smells Patrick's breath. And because SpongeBob possesses more diagnostic ability in one sniff than Patrick has displayed all day, he immediately identifies the real problem. Patrick is not ugly. His breath stinks. Patrick is relieved. And SpongeBob realizes they both ate the sundae. The theater restroom sequence finally leads SpongeBob to connect Patrick's odor with the shared sundae. The mystery is solved. The ketchup onion bathroom plant mixture caused the breath. So, do they brush their teeth? They do not. They discover they merely stink, upgrade the news to a victory, and rampage back through town chanting, "We stink! We stink!" Hugging a bewildered Squidward on the way and running off into the sunset, breath fully weaponized, problem fully unsolved, self-esteem fully restored. It's the perfect SpongeBob ending. So does Something Smells hold up? It's an all-timer, arguably the most quotable 11 minutes the show ever produced, and the case is proven. The villain was never the sundae. A ketchup, onion, peanut plant sundae can only hurt the people around you. It takes a best friend to hurt your soul. Patrick, with no nose and no doubts, took a hygiene issue and manufactured an identity crisis, and an entire town co-signed it by choosing sprinting over sentences. The funniest thing in the episode is a fish's face. The most insane thing is that the cure was 6 words long, and nobody said them. And the sincere note, the reason every line of this episode lives in your head is that it earned the space. Golden Age SpongeBob turned a fart-adjacent premise into a tiny, perfect story about self-worth, misinformation, and a friendship too strong and too stupid to fail. Childhood television was chaos with a laugh track. This chaos had a stench ball, and it bowled a perfect game. Now tell me in the comments, is Patrick the worst friend in a cartoon history, or secretly the best? He was wrong about literally everything, and never left SpongeBob's side for a second. You decide what that's worth. Which meme from this episode lives loudest in your brain? There is a correct answer, and I will be reading the comments like a courtroom. Also, let me know what show or episode you want me to cover next. And a very special thank you to the paid members of Fever Dream Nostalgia. You keep this little channel alive, you support these deeply unnecessary investigations, and unlike the citizens of Bikini Bottom, you actually show up when something smells. So to every member, you're not ugly, you're ugly and proud. Wait, no, I came out wrong. You're beautiful, appreciated, and directly responsible for Patrick's medical license remaining revoked. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I will see you next time.